Megumi slowly walks away from his assailant. He tells Shigemo that the 10 Shadows technique begins when the sorcerer who inherited the technique receives 2 divine dogs. Remember, this battle was going on between Shigemo and Megumi? In order to use other Shikigami, they must be summoned and defeated by the sorcerer with the help of the divine dogs. This allows the user to gain more Shikigami, repeating this method until they can amass up to 10 different ones. Uninterested in Megumi's stalling, Shigemo asks if the sorcerer is done talking. Megumi crosses the road away from the curse user, leaving a trail of blood behind from his injuries. Shigemo notices that Megumi isn't letting him get close despite being on his last legs. Even so, Shigemo feels like he won't even need to finish off his adversary. Moments later, Megumi collapses and hits the ground with a hard thud, proving this point. Megumi struggles to get back up, but continues to divulge how his technique works either way, saying that other people can help with the exorcism ritual, but this will nullify the technique once it is defeated. This makes it a pointless exorcism, but even a pointless exorcism has its uses. Gojo Sensei explained to Megumi why the Zenin family and Gojo family are on such bad terms. Hundreds of years ago, the heads of each household killed each other in a battle. The Gojo family head was a limitless user with the 6 eyes, and the Zenin family head possessed the 10 Shadows technique. Satoru implied that Megumi could possibly rise to his level one day. However, in the present, Megumi still doesn't quite believe he could become stronger than his mentor. So in a moment of utter despair, he decides to use his last resort, as he believes the head of the household at that time that defeated the 6 eyes to use the 10 Shadows technique this way as well. Meanwhile, Jogo's Maximum Meteor hits the ground in the distance, getting Shigemo's attention. He asks himself who the show-off could be, and Megumi redirects his attention back to his explanation. Megumi finishes divulging his technique by revealing that a 10 Shadows technique user cannot use a Shikigami unless it has been exorcised. However, they can be summoned at any time using an exorcism ritual. Shigemo turns back around and notices Megumi's sudden influx of cursed energy. The Jujutsu High student claims that not a single 10 Shadows technique user has ever been able to exercise the Shikigami he is about to bring forth. Megumi summons the 8-handed, sword-divergent Scylla Divine General Mahoraga, dragging his opponent into an unbeatable exorcism ritual. Shigemo realizes the grim situation he's currently in, and Megumi, who's also on his last legs, silently apologizes to Yuji for what he's done, then tells Shigemo good luck before passing on. Mahoraga thumps Megumi aside, sending him into a nearby building and knocking him out. Shigemo is shocked by Megumi's willingness to sacrifice himself and curses him for it, demanding the Jujutsu sorcerer get back up and stop this cruel game. Back with Sukuna, after defeating Jogo and encountering Arume, he feels something is up and leaves the monk behind after telling them not to neglect their preparations. Sukuna disappears and Arume says they'll be awaiting his return. Honestly, this hero is just kind of like screaming to me that Sukuna knows something about Big Brain Geto's plans, and he might have even had something to do with it in the past overall, you know what I mean? Just before Mahoraga crushes Shigemo, Sukuna saves the curse user. He reads the situation instantly and recognizes that Megumi is in a suspended state of death. To prevent this, Sukuna uses a reverse curse technique to heal Megumi, telling him that there's still something he needs the student to do. Shigemo wants to comment, but Sukuna tells him to stay there and stay quiet. Sukuna surmises that in order to save Megumi, he needs to defeat the Shikigami. Sukuna takes his fighting pose and says he'd like to begin the battle with just a little taste. Mahoraga attacks, swinging down the blade attached to its fist. Sukuna blocks with his forearm, creating a shockwave that knocks Shigemo off balance. Sukuna notices that the blade is emitting a strange energy and gets out of the way before it breaks through his defense. While in midair, Sukuna delivers a flurry of left-handed punches and follows up by unleashing his curse technique, Dismantle, which slices the Shikigami's body all over. While Mahoraga recovers from the blows, Sukuna recognizes the specialized blade as a curse tool for cursed spirits called the Sword of Extermination. The blade is enveloped in positive energy, similar to what's produced by a reverse curse technique. If Sukuna was a normal curse spirit, he would have been sliced clean through. The 8-handed wheel on Mahoraga's head turns, suddenly healing all of its wounds. Sukuna quickly attacks again, but this time his slashing technique is deflected by the Shikigami, surprising him. Mahoraga swings its blade again and Sukuna prepares to block, but this time it's immediately broken and he's sent crashing through several buildings from the impact. Amused, Sukuna admits that his opponent isn't half bad. In an instant, Mahoraga clears the area it just hit Sukuna across to follow up with another attack. It attempts to stab Sukuna in the face, but he jumps above the blade, kicking his opponent at the same time. Sukuna mounts his giant opponent's arm and places his right arm on the Shikigami's face, stating that it's his turn now. Sukuna activates his slashing technique, slicing the entire building in half. The impact sends the Shikigami falling out of the structure, only for Sukuna to follow up and kick it straight into the ground. He lands beside the Shikigami and assumes it will heal again based on his observations. The 8-handed wheel turns and all of its injuries disappear just as expected. Sukuna compares this ability to Yamato no Orochi. For us weebs that want to know, is like a legendary 8-headed and 8-tailed Japanese dragon. Think like Orochimaru when he comes out of Sasuke and Itachi ends up shanking him with that dope-ass sword. That's kind of like what I'm thinking here. I'm pretty sure it's taken off that same kind of idea. Mahoraga's first attack was reinforced positive energy. When that didn't work, it adapted and reinforced its second attack with cursed energy. Additionally, it was able to see Sukuna's cursed technique and deflect it. Both of these things happened after the 8-handed wheel turned for the first time. Furu's incarnation of the 10 sacred treasures and the 8-handed wheel represents a complete cycle of harmony. With this information, Sukuna deduces that the Shikigami's technique allows it to adapt to any and all phenomena. Sukuna admits that if Megumi had unleashed this creature when they fought the first time, it may have been able to beat him. He thanks Megumi for showing him the way and activates his freaking domain expansion, the insane, malevolent shrine. Man, I honestly just love how much Gege goes into depth on Japanese mythology, along with like Indian and Chinese and other like sick as fuck cultures, and like intertwines them all into a story. It like really reminds me of what it felt like back when I was a little kid to probably get into a series like Bleach or Naruto. It's just so good. I absolutely love it. Sukuna's technique is divided into two types of slashing attacks: the default slash dismantle and the other cleave. The latter can be adjusted using cursed energy to cut down the target in one fell swoop. Malevolent Shrine, unlike other domain expansions, does not manifest a separate space using a barrier. Manifesting one's innate domain without a barrier is akin to painting a masterpiece on air without a canvas, a truly divine and unparalleled technique. By allowing an escape route from the domain using a binding vow, Sukuna increases the guaranteed hit accuracy to nearly a 200 meter radius. He narrows down the effective range to 140 meters to avoid hitting Megumi, but mercilessly slashes the rest of Shibuya apart. Civilians who are hiding out nearby after being rescued by Inumaki are violently torn to pieces. Dismantle is used on inanimate objects, while anything with cursed energy within a range is hit with cleave. While Malevolent Shrine is active, Sukuna's slashing attacks relentlessly cut down on everything within its guaranteed hit's effective range. With around 150 meters of Shibuya decimated in an instant, Sukuna surmises that the only way to defeat Mahoraga is to kill it with a new attack before it can recover. However, Mahoraga has not only adapted to dismantle, but to slashing attacks in general, meaning Sukuna needs to act quickly. He activates his mysterious flame technique again and shoots a fire arrow at the Shikigami before it heals. The impact creates a giant barrier of explosive flame that completely decimates the hellish creature. The King of Curses walks back to Megumi with Mahoraga's wheel in hand. He throws the 8-handed wheel past Shigemo and it disintegrates shortly after, solidifying Sukuna's victory.